The 2026 World Indoor Championships have finally come to an end, and that marks the official end of the indoor season and the start of the 2026 outdoor campaign. We've seen a lot this year. We've seen a few new world records, a few new faces crushing at the top. Heck, we've even seen a 17-year-old become a world champion, a genuinely insane thing to witness. But what really has me excited about this year's outdoor track and field season isn't necessarily the records we've already seen broken, but the records that could fall come outdoors. And these potential records all revolve around the men's shorter sprints. It may not have been completely obvious, but 2026 was actually statistically the fastest indoor year of all time. Here's a chart looking at the total number of sprinters that went under 6.50 indoors for the 60 since 2015. As you can see, breaking 6.5 has always been a challenge, and the peak of this threshold came in 2025, when a total of 8 athletes managed to break 6.50. But why don't you go ahead and take a guess at how many people ran under 6.5 for the 60 in 2026? Go ahead, I'll give you all a few seconds. Well, remarkably, that number in 2026 is 16 athletes, exactly twice as much as the second highest year ever recorded. In this sub 6.5 club, we have many talented names that I'm sure you're familiar with. There's Trayvon Bromell, there's the Olympic silver medalist Kashane Thompson, there's the rising talent from Jamaica, Brian Lavelle, and we also have the ever-talented Kayinsola Ajayi from Nigeria, who won this year's NCAA champs in 6.45. But sitting at the very top of this list is the 21-year-old Jordan Anthony, and along with a few other performers this year, he is doing something that very few athletes have ever done. In this men's 60 final, Anthony split through 30 meters in 3.82, which was already fast enough to gap the field quite comfortably. And to only add more context on how fast this opening 30 was, this time would have been fast enough to be leading the men's 100 during the Paris Olympic final in 2024, as the next closest runner would have been Kashane Thompson, who went through 30 in 3.84. But the interesting part about this race wasn't the first half, it was the second half, because from 30 to 60 meters, Jordan Anthony split a time of 2.59 seconds. This might not seem that impressive at face value, but this kind of speed in the 60 is extremely rare over the second half. In fact, it's already closing in on the fastest second half in indoor 60 history. And that title currently stands with Noah Lyles when he ran a 6.43 back in 2024. And for this final 30, he ran a 2.55, which was fast enough to catch the great Christian Coleman on the day. In the history of the indoor 60, we've only ever seen a very small set of athletes break 2.6 for the final 30. There was Noah Lyles in 2024, Christian Coleman in 2018, there was Maurice Green back in 1999 when he became the first athlete to ever break 6.4. And even though these times haven't been confirmed yet, it's also very likely that Ronnie Baker went sub 2.6 in 2018 in Albuquerque, and Lamont Marcel Jacobs also did this in 2022. But that means that along with these very fast athletes who have accomplished some of the most difficult tasks in sprinting, Jordan Anthony has already joined this very exclusive club. And in terms of what his outdoor season might bring, the 100 meters could be set to go crazy in 2026. For each of these athletes that have gone sub 2.6, here are their corresponding 100-meter PBs. And as you can see, the outlier here is of course Jordan Anthony, who only holds a PB of 9.95 with legal wind. And this brings us back to that extremely controversial 100 in 2025, where Jordan ran his 9.75 with a positive 2.1 meter second wind, just over the allowable limit. And because of his recent 60 experiences, many are wondering if this time was actually somewhat legitimate last season. Well, not really. You see, since this race in 2025, Anthony has changed almost every aspect of his training. He's decided to quit his football career, which certainly allows him to further sharpen his sprinting abilities. He's since joined a professional group in Florida, where Noah Lyles also trains, and he's getting more and more experience, which is something that he just could not do while competing in football. Compared to his 2025 form, he has unquestionably stepped up his game, and if he were to run in that exact same circumstance, he probably would go under 9.7. There was something wrong with the track or the wind that day. It was just apparent. By every possible measure, Anthony is set to do some serious work in this year's outdoor season, and for his 100-meter abilities, I would not be surprised at all if he gets right next to 9.80, if not under it. But that is still something that he will have to prove as this season goes on. Right now, Jordan is still the new face on the scene, and while he's already done some insane work this season, his outdoor running will be anything but easy. In addition to competing against the likes of his teammate Noah Lyles and another Florida runner, Kenny Bednarek, he will also have to deal with Christian Coleman, Kashane Thompson, Brian Lavelle, Letsile Teboho, and the newly minted fastest man in the world, Oblique Seville of Jamaica. Now, it is worth mentioning that in 2025 for the World Champs in the 100, both Kashane Thompson and Oblique Seville got bullet starts out of the blocks, and through 60, Kashane was tracked at 6.37 and Oblique was tracked at 6.38. These times are historically fast, and this unquestionably means that they have faster opening 60s compared to Anthony. Right? Well, not necessarily. You see, for this men's 100, it's important to remember that both Jamaican greats did have a slight tailwind at their backs, meaning that compared to indoors, they did have some slight wind assistance to run with. And for Anthony, his 6.41 came with no wind assistance at all. So with a little tailwind push and a little bit of outdoor magic, it's very possible that Anthony could go under 6.4 for his opening 60, putting him right next to Kashane and Oblique. Ultimately, Jordan has already proven himself as an indoor 60-meter great, as he's now ranked at number 4 all-time in the 60 meters. But the thing that really impresses me the most is his killer instinct. In almost every race he has entered, he's managed to come out on top. He won the 2025 NCAA Indoor 60 title, he won the 2025 SEC Champs in the 100 and the 200, he then won the NCAA Final in the 100 meters, and now in 2026, he has won the men's 60 in the Indoor World Championships. Anthony actually started 2026 with some questionable performances. He only ran a 6.57 in the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix to finish in 3rd, and then it was also another rather sluggish performance at the Millrose Games, as he only ran a 6.64 to finish in 3rd again. But ever since that performance, he has been blazing hot. He ran a 6.45 at the US Champs, he then ran a 6.43 in the semis of the World Champs, and of course, he then ran a 6.41 in the final. These times don't just represent a one-off great performance, it showcases consistency, and that is exactly what he will need if he wants to compete with the world's best outdoors. With all of the tools that he currently possesses and with his new lifestyle changes, I think Anthony is currently fast-tracking his way to a sub 9.80, but he will need some ideal conditions to pull it off. If he can get that exact bullet start during the outdoor season and go through 40 and 6.41, he will then need a 3.38 to break 9.8, which is very quick for the final 40. In fact, only the very best can break 3.4 for the final 40 meters. But if we include a little bit of wind benefit, I think it's possible for him to go 6.37 to 6.38 for the opening 60, and then he would only need a final 40 of 3.41 to 3.42. Anthony is clearly a gifted 60 athlete, and it is also very possible that he could be an elite runner in the 100 meters as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time.